Hey everybody, welcome back. It's office hours on a whole new day and time. So great to see everybody here in chat. You are obviously missing that, seeing that we are missing one person. So Andrew is on vacation. This is my first time doing it solo, so go easy on me today. But I think this is going to be a fun episode to chat with you guys. Hope everybody's had a good 4th and a good summer so far. It's been like 2 weeks since we've been on, and it's so great to kind of be back and see how everybody's doing here. And today we're going to do something really fun. So when I found out last week that I'd be doing this one solo, I was thinking, what would be a really great topic to talk about? And what better topic than to hit the idea of going solo and being a solo creative in this crazy world. So what we're going to do is go through a fun little presentation that I put together, and it's going to be very interactive with you guys as well. So please, we've got both chats going up, and I definitely want to get your input on what we are talking about here as well. What's up, everybody? I see Roberta, Cody, good to see you guys. Awesome. Nate, I'm checking you all out here. Awesome. Thanks for being with us today, guys. So solo survival. This is kind of a closer look as far as working as a solo creative in this industry. And I thought doing this solo today would be a perfect chance to kind of talk a little bit about these unique little things. There's pros, there's cons, there's all these things to consider. But I know so many people want to make sure they are ready before they go into their solo careers as a creative. I, for many years, took the route of being doing it completely the corporate route, and did it for many, many years until I became my own boss and started my own thing about 10 years ago. And there's so many positives. There's so many things that we'll go through here as well. There's a lot of negative. There's a lot of cons that we'll talk about as well. So that's what we're going to be doing today. When you are your whole team, I think that's a great way to put it in there and kind of talk about this as well. When you are your own boss, you're also your own assistant. You're also your own creative director. You're also your own production manager. You're also one of my favorite things, and that is your own hype person. And that is one of my favorite parts of what we get to do here, is kind of being that person that, you know, it all relies on when it comes to the hype, the social media, getting the word out there. And I'm sure you guys all feel the same. So let's look at some tips on how solo success happens without the biggest negative, and that's just burnout, because I think that's the one thing I hear a lot of people talking about when it comes to the solo business world. And as you are going through here as well, feel free to drop any questions while we're talking. Some of these topics will come up a few times throughout the whole presentation, but if you have a question, drop it in there. Thanks, Aaron. I'm hoping I got this. This will be a fun one. Usually it's me and Andrew, like I said earlier. And don't forget, this is our new day and time. So office hours will be here every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So change your calendars, mark it in your notebook. Should be a really great experience for the rest of the year. So benefits of the creative solo business. And these are some of the ones I found for myself. I found immediately once I did that. Creative control. I think that's one thing we all want. Creative control in how we put together our presentations, how we work with clients, the creative that we get to actually produce, and maybe even like the work we get to work on. Like sometimes that's not your own choice when it comes to the world of corporate design or working for someone else. So the idea of creative control is awesome because there's also no committee. And for many years, I think working in that world where there's a committee as far as every decision, everything that has to be made or changed or agreed upon, I think there's something so wonderful about solo work. So if that's ever been something that has bothered you, or when you work with a big team, you're finding it's like harder and harder to kind of figure out and get your point across. One of the things I do love is that idea of creative control. The next up here is the schedule freedom. And this it also pops up on the negative, and I think you guys can probably understand why. But the freedom to have your schedule be 100% yours. Now, yes, there are clients, there are meetings, there are things that will probably pop up, and that's beyond your control. But for the most part, you are planning out your entire day. And I love that. I love the idea of being able to have that control again. When I had my full-time job, I was traveling about an hour and a half every morning to get to the office. I would put in 8 to 9 to 10 hour days, and then it was another hour commute back. There's so much kind of wasted time there. And what I love about having my own thing is I'm probably working the same, if not more hours, but it's with the control of my own schedule. So I really love that as well. Next up, faster decision making. There have been so many times where that committee that we talked about in the first point really kind of hinders the speed and the efficiencies of projects that you're working on. The idea that I love is faster decision making is not just being a person who makes a decision faster for the sake of being faster. It's being more in tune with what you have, what you are working on, what you have agreed on with your client. And so when I strive for faster decision making, it's because we are more efficient in our work, not just because I want to get this done and move on to the next thing. So that's an efficiency that I love. The benefits of Han Solo, I love that. Yes, for sure. And the last one here is the creative courage that you have totally grows. I didn't see this until probably the first year or two, but what I love about the creative solo world is you find that you will take more risks, probably more than you ever would prior to that. I know taking a risk maybe in my full-time job never really felt like a full risk because maybe it wasn't my full control. But with the full control you have, you are now able to make a risk at something or be courageous with something that you're doing. I never was a risk taker, and now I feel like I get to do that a little bit more each time. So as that grows and you get better and better each time with each project, that courage you have is so much stronger. And I love that. Yeah, I agree there. The long commutes, oh, so brutal. I think nowadays with everybody having maybe the freedom of hybrid or working from home, we see a lot of efficiencies in there as well. And you're getting your day back, you know? Would you work from home or get an office? Well, I get, Michael, that's kind of your choice too. Like I did get an office space immediately once I started my own thing. And I found that like having two versions of my office, meaning one here in my office here at home and one, even though it was very close, it was a little bit of a disconnect. And I found I was making excuses to be home. I'd be making excuses to go there. And I just found having one home base, whatever you have, is really the best option. Whatever your choice is, if you want to do an office space and the budget allows that, great. It's something to try, I think, for sure. I just found it wasn't worth the time and it wasn't worth the money I was spending. So now what I get to do is when I have a meeting or if I have a presentation, there is a place locally that I can get hourly. And it's such a great thing to have when it comes to that flexibility. So benefits, creative control, we love that. Creative freedom with your schedule, love that. And then faster decision-making because you're being more efficient with things. And lastly here, it was that creative courage. It totally grows. And I can't stress that enough. I think that's one of the best things I could say that would be there. Dedicating space to the home is very nice. Yes, for sure, Clever. I agree. I've kind of given myself that area. The space I use is kind of in between rooms, so it's kind of not a walkthrough. But what I love about that is it's just perfect. This is exactly where I'm going to be. This is where my workstation is. And I have one other workstation if there is someone else working with me on a project as well. Yep, done. On to the next one. There you go. All right. So this next one, cons of a solo business. There are a lot, but I'm going to give you a few here and we can dive deep into these as well. Decision fatigue. I think with all of that freedom of making decisions, after a while, it's almost like, whoa, I'm just making decisions all day long, more than I ever have. So there becomes a little bit of a fatigue with that. And that's one of those real world scenarios. I find there's still enough of a benefit of this side that yes, there are those days where it's just too many things and too many decisions to be made, but I love it. I strive on that. Keep bringing me that. I've turned this into a positive. It's a positive and unique way to kind of think about it. Okay, isolation. This is one of those things I hear a lot of people talk about. Isolation is truly up to you. And yes, you might be working solo, but I've never been more connected with more creatives and more people than ever before. Even when I was working at a 200 plus design agency, I feel like I've been able to flip this. Even for introverts, if you love the idea of working solo and you love this idea of isolation while you're working and being creative, I guarantee you it will creep up and you'll want more contact. You'll want more people in your day and you want to at least have that ability. And we'll go through some really cool tips on that later, but I thought it was worth bringing up this idea of how isolation can be something all of us will find as a con when it comes to working solo, but there are ways around it. Next up, you're the bottleneck for everything. Again, you're making all these decisions. So you are that bottleneck. Everything's going to funnel through you. Even if you have 2 to 3 people that you have brought on additional that are working with you, it's still you, right? So what I always say with this one, even though it is a con, the way around it is, if this is something that bothers you or you'd be fearful of before diving into freelance or diving into your own business, I would probably put a red flag on this one for you, only because this is something I think you're going to have to learn to embrace. If you feel there's a way you can kind of stretch your talents and get into that zone where it's okay that everything goes through me. I love that. To me, I've turned this into a positive as well. I want everything to go through me. I don't want there to be any surprises or anything like that. So for me, I've really embraced this. I love the idea. Sometimes, yes, it gets to a point where it is a bottleneck, but if you have your priorities and your week and your calendar and your clients all in order, you should know the priority and you should know what to hit first. Lastly here, you can become too comfortable. And this is that one that I will admit I have not mastered. This is something that, yes, happens all the time. You can be too comfortable because, again, it's all you, right? You've gone through the process. You've gone through the ideas of all the decision making. It's bottlenecking through you. And where I think sometimes this is a negative is you can become too comfortable with this situation and maybe just turn 1 or 2 things off, or maybe miss an opportunity or say no to a project or whatever it can be because you have this decision-making thing. So just be careful about this one, because for me, becoming too comfortable meant, oh, maybe I'll just go out and go for a run in the middle of the day, or some friends are playing golf, I'm going to do that. That could be too comfortable. And that could come back to bite you. So just make sure, we'll talk a lot about freedom and time and everything you have later in this presentation. But I just thought it was worth bringing up at this point because it really is one of those things that can creep up. So some stuff you could do here. We're talking about creative energy versus time management. So once you move to your own, one thing I had to do was forget that 9 to 5 mindset. Solo creatives need to manage energy, not just time. And I've been listening to many different podcasts that talk about this idea of, it's called the golden hours. I'm sure you guys have probably heard about this a little bit. Mike, you're saying that your neighbors wake you up at 4 a.m. Oh, I would just get right back to work. I'd get right to work and kind of use it, or at least talk to them and see if that could be no more distraction. But yeah, I'm an early riser and I love getting to work early. This is a thing, you kind of brought this up at a great time. Because of your time slots through the day and where you are, what you want to do is identify your golden hours. And these are the magical blocks of time where your brain is on. And there's no surefire way to understand where this is or what that is for everybody. You've got to figure this out yourself. And what I like to say is, like, think about your week. Think about the last 5 or 6 days. Is there a consistent time in your day that you are better being creative? For me, it's usually the 10 to 2 zone. I like that because lunch is like right in between. And what I love about that is before 10, I could do all of call it the admin stuff, right? And that time between 10 and 2, plus getting fueled by lunch, to me is a great time to be a creative. Sometimes it's after 5, after 6. If I do have a lot of work on my plate, and yes, there are those times where maybe you're working late into the evening. You can talk to many freelancers out there. They all will agree that does happen. That is an uninterrupted time from clients and email and all the pings and notifications in your world. So if you can find that time, that is your time, call it your golden hour. That is when your brain is on. That is when you are truly at your best and your brain is functioning to be a creative. And then what happens is those other times, those will become your admin times. Those you will look at emails and say, I could fire through 10 of them right now because I've done a little creative already and I'm in a very kind of admin kind of mind right now. So I like to do that really early in the morning. I do that right after, if I come back from the gym or I have to do something outside or a breakfast or something, I will go right to the admin stuff. And I want to check off things on my list immediately. Because again, it's just me. And when you're a one-person show, you just want to make sure that. So you've identified the golden hour. Those are those magical moments. You want to protect them like a client meeting. No distractions, no emails. Have you guys ever heard of when people say like, talk about someone who maybe hasn't had a good lunch kind of routine. I know many people I've worked with that just couldn't break away for lunch or whatever it might be, some kind of a break in your day. You got to put it on your calendar. And I remember hearing this this coach say, if you put it on your calendar and actually have it there, just like you would a client meeting or just like you would have it there for an offsite or whatever it might be, you are more likely to give that time to yourself. So if you've identified your golden hours, put it on your calendar, the 10 to 2, whatever it might be. That's where you're a workhorse. That's where you're getting everything done. That commitment and that visible thing on your calendar is really, really good. It's so awesome to see where that could be an added value in your day. I love seeing that block on my calendar because it means I've already established that is my time. That is my time to be creative. That's when the juices are flowing. That's when I've got a lunch in between. So of course, I'm going to add food into that mix to make it totally something I look forward to. Find whatever works for you. And lastly, don't force creative during your slump zones, right? If you have that slump zone and you're forcing creative, I'm telling you, it won't work. I'm probably preaching to the choir here. You guys all totally understand that. If your mind's just in that slump and it's not there, drop the creative. And guess what? Go back and do some of that admin work. To me, that's a great way. What I'll do is maybe just fire up my laptop and maybe I'm not in that office mood just yet. And if I could do 2 or 3 emails or set up a meeting or do some admin stuff, some billing, whatever it might be, I love that idea. To me, that's my way of making sure I'm still taking advantage of time, but I might not be in the right mindset to be doing creative. And we'll talk a little bit about what else to do in those creative slumps in just a little bit. So don't forget, creative energy versus time management. You just don't want to manage your time, manage your energy. And I think studies have showed that if you do this more frequently and you try to get into a routine with that based on kind of like your individual kind of body timing and where your time stages are during a day, it will be routine. And your body will be used to the idea of being creative or being an admin. So a few more things to forget that 9 to 5 mindset and concentrate more on your energy, not just time. Energy flows in cycles. Honor the highs and don't punish the lows. I think what I've noticed, we've talked so many times on office hours, when someone had a low, it might have been a downtime, it might have been waiting for a client, it might have been waiting for a job or an opportunity to open up, and that is a rut. Don't punish those lows. Sometimes you got to embrace those. Sometimes take the break. Like so many times I look at this and say, maybe that's a sign that I've been grinding a little bit too much here. And when you do have that low, when it comes to energy or I just can't do anything, don't punish it. Just enjoy that. Find something creative to do. Find something active to do. I think that's a great substitute. Meditation, whatever it might be. Okay. And then the last one here is rest is productive. A 20-minute reset can unlock 2 hours of flow. Does everybody I love everybody to kind of chime in on this. Do y'all get to that flow? Like that's the hardest thing for me to kind of turn on and off, but that feeling when you get into a flow and you've done 2 hours. and you're like, I can't believe I've just done 2 hours of work and it's everything I wanted. It just flew. Oh yeah, go for a swim. Damn, that's a great one. I love that idea. Great one. Any kind of activity or something like that, for sure. I love it. And that's a flow. Like you naturally get into kind of an active high when you're doing something good for yourself or something like that. But that flow is, if you can't get it, the 20-minute break is a really good way to figure out how to get that back. So make sure you are giving yourself that time. And that's just a 20-minute reset. It doesn't have to be a full disconnect. It could be a walk. It could be dropping into a YouTube channel or something fun that you watch. It could be coming onto Adobe Live and seeing who's talking, and just spend that time. A shower can be inspirational, so can yard therapy. Yard therapy is a good one. I notice my favorite line with this is, I saw a great person interviewed and they said, because of technology, because of phones specifically, we are not giving ourselves time to be bored. And boredom sprouts the best creativity. And I think that's true. I've had a few times where I think you just run to the phone, you're in line for something, and you just don't want to be bored. Next time that happens, put the phone away. I'm telling you, the ideas will start flowing when you're bored. So don't forget the idea. Eat some snacks. I've always got those. Like, they're always here, so I got nothing to worry about with that. Maybe too many sometimes. But just remember that whole idea of giving yourself a break and finding something cool to do is going to be really, really good. So those were the creative energies there. I love this line. You're not a machine, you're a rhythm. Work with it, not against it. It's so great. Like, I think we do treat ourselves sometimes like the machine, because there is that grind that everyone talks about. There is that grind that everybody says, yeah, oh, unless you're working hard and doing this, and this all day long, are you really working? Well, yes, I mean, hard work pays off. I love that idea. But we aren't machines, and we can't just turn on and turn off or be on all day without breaking up the emotions, the feelings, all those things, or being tired. So if you think about yourself as a rhythm, you can work with it. You can find those times when the beat's heavy, work, get stuff done. When it's slowing down, whatever, maybe that's your chance to say, it's time for that 20-minute break. And I think, you'll reward yourself as well. Yes, now I need a new calendar. All right, that's the greatest one. I love there as well. Oh, cool. I'm glad to see you guys digging that. Love this. Perfect. Okay, systems that can save you. Now, these are some unique things that I think would be beneficial to finding flow, finding your golden hours. But then once you have done there, how do you even take advantage of it even more? So batching tasks, I was combining words there. I love it. Batching tasks versus the daily hustle. A daily hustle is you, and I think I've showed this 1,000 times. This is daily hustle, right? Having Post-it notes all over the place, no rhyme or reason. And that's still part of my day. I can't break free from that as well. But what I do is I make sure I'm batching things in like-minded, call them tasks, to make sure I'm tackling them and doing them and finding a flow for it. So an idea here is batching tasks. Let's say I have to do invoicing. I have to do maybe some spreadsheet stuff. I said the S word here. Yep. Sometimes we have to open those files and look at a spreadsheet or something like that. I call that like numbers work. And that's so opposite creative work, right? If I can batch those all together in an hour, I'm feeling so much better. I'm getting all that work done, and it's a natural flow on its own. And then I can tackle the creative work later, and there's no issues, right? I'm getting into a flow there as well. So find things that are similar in nature, batch them together. That is so much better than just a daily hustle of you being unorganized and just, I'll do this, I'll do this. Sometimes I laugh and say, the thing I'm working on is who's yelling at me the loudest right now. And sometimes days like that happen, right? I try to avoid those as much as possible. So this is my way. Basking, I keep saying it. I love that. It's gonna be a new keyword here. Batching your tasks. It's such a good tip. Give it a shot for sure. Templates and shortcuts you can swear by. Templates, we have talked about this so many times on office hours. I'm sure you guys can agree. Build a template once, use it forever, right? Build a form, build a questionnaire, build a template that is, maybe it's an onboarding thing for a new client, and it has all the questions that you will ask a new client every single time. Do it once, use it forever, right? Shortcuts. What can you do to kind of increase your time and kind of bring a system into it where it helps? Where I've used shortcuts tremendously, I would say, is one, in every Adobe app. Learn your shortcuts. Quickest and easiest way to kind of save time, find those ways to kind of feel more productive and more proficient in every one of the applications. And the beautiful thing is they kind of go throughout all the applications the same, right? Sometimes the letters, the commands are exactly the same. But I love the templates, love doing any kind of shortcuts. Other shortcuts I've done is I have created maybe 10 to 15 master emails. And these are, one is like a reply to a new inquiry for work. One is my case study and my onboarding email for someone who has said, yes, I'd love to speak more about igniting a project with you. One might be that email that's like, hey, we are behind, we haven't heard back from you in 7 days, blah, blah, blah. Giving yourself all of these little templates and shortcuts will definitely make for a huge difference down the road. So make sure you're finding these ways to do that. Have them. Be organized with those as well. I found that anytime I'm trying to find something and I can't figure it out, I'll just do a quick web search and find 2 tools or some little shortcut of an app I already have. And it's great to have that on your side every time. Boundaries equal self-respect. So how to say no, and not just to others, but even to yourself sometimes. I think it always goes to yourself first before it's even to somebody else. So if someone's asked you, just last week, I had Friday, a great client, a longtime client, ask if they can get me to do something over the weekend and like do this morning, or actually yesterday morning, Monday. And, you know, I'm going to consider boundaries. I'm going to consider self-respect. I'm going to consider all that. If the weekend works and I can find that is my time to do it, guess what? Going back to slide 1, I get to decide here. And I said yes, because I know they will appreciate it. I know the pay. I know all of the elements lined up. And so for me to say yes to that, I knew I checked off all the boxes already. Yeah, there might have been 1 or 2 that was like, oh, well, it's the weekend and this and that or whatever. It's summertime. But I want to be that champion and I want to be that advocate for good long-term clients. And it paid off. I got great response from it yesterday. They were so excited. It was one of those ones where they couldn't even see the work until I presented it, and everybody loves it. So I love this idea here. Again, it gives me the confidence because I took a chance, going back to that other slide, and to me it worked. Now, there's sometimes I would absolutely say no, and that is if there's other family obligations or things going on, particularly let's call it a weekend and we're making a decision, or a nighttime where you're saying, oh, I just can't do this. You know in your gut if it's a yes or a no. I think that's like my best advice there as well. And just be ready to say no in some of these situations, because you are giving yourself the respect to say, as much as I want to do that, maybe this isn't the right time. And you don't want to be that yes person every single time. I think with any situation or relationship, you want to make sure you are not just yes, yes, yes all the time. You're finding those ways. So treat breaks as a sacred thing. They're sacred. These are those times that you can get to refuel and to get better and to maybe just take a break from all that work that you're doing and the creative stuff. It could be super stressful. No one can do it all the time. So treat those breaks as very sacred. They are the way you get better. They charge you up for the next time. And I think it's worth saying all the time. So some mindset shifts. This is a good one. Done is better than perfect. Does anybody agree with me there? That to me is one time I had to hear this because I'm not a perfectionist by any means. Trust me, I'm not. But sometimes too, if it's something you're really hoping is going to be good, or the work and done is just better than perfect, I think sometimes that will work. That is one of those things to have a mindset shift. And it's hard for me too sometimes. Yes to breaks. Exactly. Totally get it. This done before better than perfect. I say to my students so many times, what we do is like, I'll give them these surprise 30-minute challenges. They're very much like the brand slams that we do here on office hours. And they'll just, in the middle of my class, I'll just say 30 minutes, redesign the Snapchat logo or the Google logo or something like that. Or I'll give them a template and say, here's a creative brief. Give me something in 30 minutes. And I tell them through the process, it's not about being the best, it's about being done. And I think a lot of times creatives have a hard time putting a period at the end of their art, right? I know a few filmmakers and writers and people like that, that it's so hard for them to say, yes, this is the finished project. And I think sometimes I'm the same way, right? Like, but I want that send. I want to hit that send button. I want to see the response. I want to make sure all the engines are firing and the project is well on its way. So being done has been something I've been really struggling to do. And even though, like I said, I'm not the perfectionist, I was striving for perfection with a lot of the first few projects I did as a solo creative. And now I feel like I could do both. I can get it done and I feel like it's perfect. And that's the perfect mix. Next one, I'm building a career, not just delivering projects. Keep this in mind. If there's one thing you remember from this entire presentation, guys, I think a lot of times, if you're a freelance or you're starting your own business, you just think you are delivering projects over and over and over again. You're still building a career. What I've done in 10 years, I'd say matches have not exceeded any 10 years of my previous work experience working for somebody else. You are working on all cylinders. You are playing every role. And I think it's really important to consider the fact that you're still building your career, and how you present it in your resume, on your website, whatever it might be, on your LinkedIn. Be sure you're presenting it just as important and just as professional as you would any job that you are employed at. In fact, like I said, I think it's worth more. Being solo doesn't mean being isolated. And that's true. I'm going to tell you a ton of different tips in the next few slides that talk about that as well. Yes, you're working independently, but guess what? You get to decide all the other time. How many other people are you working with? Do you come in and see everybody in Adobe Live every day and every week, right? You guys are all part of a network. You're all part of additional things outside of just your work. So keep that in mind. And lastly here, growth happens between gigs, not just during it. And I think more of growth happens between the gigs than during them. I've had those times where you're like, where is the next project? I'm finishing up 2 or 3 things. What's coming next? That little time in between is where you have the most growth. You build resilience, you build structure, you build faith, you build all those things, right? What can I do right now that I wish I had the time when I was super busy? You'll find that time. Maybe this is where you build a few of those templates. This is where you build some of those things that are going to help you in the process of your future projects. So keep that in mind. It's one of those things that I'm telling you, growth happens all the time. Don't just think it's when you are doing the work. Sometimes the best thing you can do is step away for your creativity's sake. And I love this as well. Stepping away and giving yourself those breaks, saying no, all these things truly add up for the strength of you as a creative, I think. So sometimes this is the best thing you can do. Step away, take that little break, drop it in here, guys. What is your go-to break when it comes to needing to step away and do something to just creatively charge yourself, right? For me, I will take the quickest little walk. I think anything to get outside and moving, number 1. Number 2, take the bike ride, get on a bike, do something else. Number 3, I will walk and specifically go to a favorite coffee place or something like that. It's me. I've got to put in a little reward in the whole thing there as well. What about deadlines, Michael? Deadlines. Well, be a little more specific too, because I want to answer your question well. I guess you're saying maybe if you're under a deadline and you can't step away, that's true, right? If you're under a deadline, you're under a deadline. I try to limit the stress of that by being more efficient and productive in everything else I do. So I'm doing things a day early, or I love to deliver or finalize something a day early than a deadline. So that doesn't give me the stress of that time when it's down to the wire. I never want to be in that situation. I've been there too many times. I don't do my best work when I'm in that thing. I could get irritable. I'm not the best person to be around when that happens. So I've eliminated that as much as possible. Still happens, but again, if you're under a deadline and it's crucial, take the 10-minute break. There's still time for that. I think there's still time to do that as well. Cleaning, I love that. Yes, it sounds like everybody's cleaning for their break. That's a good one. I've started doing that a lot too. I will go clean the kitchen or something like that might be the first thing I will do as well so many times. I think the whole idea, and everyone can say, is the thing that they have in common is it just takes you away from your creativity for a second, and you get to do something that's a little bit more repetitive, monotonous, and just to get things done. Then you can come back and say, like, guess what? I stepped away. My creative is feeling all charged up and ready to go. Yes, but it's a mindless one. Yes, I agree. Totally. Let's see. Gabriel, taking a walk for sure. I totally agree. I think just expert wise, the things I've been reading is a walk is by far one of the best things to do. Yes, getting a little basketball in. I love that as well. Anything, it's all up to you what you do, right? I think it's funny what's cleaning. Some of you don't vibe with that one. I love it. But it sounds like the common denominator is you're just moving. You're doing something to do something, to kind of stimulate your brain and get yourself past that little hurdle. So people have the power, even when you're solo. So how do you get people power? That idea of like, if it's just you, what else can you do? So how many times have we talked about this here? Building your support circle through the Discord, our Discord channel, right? Slack groups, online mentors, whatever it might be. I'm really excited tonight. I with a few other alumni, former students of myself, we have created a whole new Los Angeles-based creative meetup that we're going to do every 2 months. And tonight is our first one. And I'm so excited because this is one of those things I've talked about forever. And I just thought, if no one's doing it, let's build it ourselves. And that's kind of what we did. So I really, really stress to you guys, if you are in an area where you can't find good creative support, make something happen, do something for yourself. So we're starting it tonight. It's called Glyphic. You can find it at Glyphic_LA on Instagram. If you're LA based, let me know. Just shoot me a DM. We have our first one tonight, and I have one of my clients hosting the place. Adobe has helped sponsored it through Megan. That was also awesome of her to do. So again, make it happen, right? Build your own group, build that support group if you can't find it. Co-working sessions, either virtual or in real life. That's another thing you can do. I've been a part of a Slack group for almost probably 5 years now. And myself and my buddy Alex started it 5 years ago because we would be working late. We don't live in the same city, but we'd get on Zoom and just be like, what are you working on? Show me your artboard. Let's see what we got. Like, help each other out. And now we're at close to 50 people in this Slack channel. And we all just exchange our work, our process. If we have a pitch deck going out, we'll put it on there and share it with everybody. So give me some advice. How does this look? That kind of stuff. But this idea of having this is not only to kind of just be there as extra people, but a lot of times too, it's like these could be almost pseudo coworkers, right? If it's only you, find that way to do it. So that's obviously the best thing to do. You got Discord with all of the different Adobe ones on there and all the different channels you guys can be a part of, and I know a lot of you do. Love this idea. Lastly here, your turn. Shout out the people who fuel you. Who fuels your creativity when you are trying to work solo? Is there a channel you watch? Is there other shows that you watch? Go ahead and throw that into any of the chats, and I'll do my best to kind of shout those out as well. I think for myself, it's the people that you truly do kind of choose to be around you on a daily basis. It's the folks in my communal Slack group. It's my other professors and faculty that I work with at Cal State Northridge. It's my students. Adobe Live, yes, for sure. I agree. So having all of these people and all of these great ways to kind of connect with people is so smart. It's just the best way to do it. So shout those out, and I'll make sure I can get those in here when we get them into chat. So let's see, did I get everything here? Yep, we got everything there. How to build that, get in your mentors, your Discord, Slack, all that stuff. Co-working sessions. If you have a co-working place in your neighborhood, I just went to ours. There's one across the street that I didn't even know existed. And I went in there last week and I thought it was awesome. It was great to see so many people working under one roof, all different disciplines, all different industries. And I mentioned what I do to about 5 to 6 people, and I had instant exchanges on LinkedIn. Like, I think I might need you one day. Like, we're getting close to that thing. You have no idea what just one little day, one little kind of like plant a seed will do. Oh, here we go. Look at this. All right, let's see what we got. I'm the maid, the chef, the yard boy, etc. Your sister inspires you. I love that. I can fuel your creativity mostly with bad puns and poor typing. Hey, I'm right there with you there. That can be very inspiring too. Yes, I agree. I see Bri over here is saying Adobe Live for sure. Yes, so great way to do that as well. All right, rapid fire Q&A for you guys. What's your favorite solo creative ritual? Is there something you guys do that feels like maybe it's a go-to thing to stir up your creativity, or something that you would do? So write it in chat, your favorite solo creative ritual. This could be anything. This could be a lot of those things you do for the break. I think for me, what's become my thing is I'm just a huge coffee fanatic. And what I will love to do now is I'm doing pour over coffee every morning. And what I do is I think it gives me, I'm not doing like a lot of coffee every morning. I'm doing a lot less. And I do probably 2 cups. And there's one in the morning that gets me all fired up and ready to go. And then there's a second one waiting for me later. And what I do is usually have it as a nice iced coffee later in the day. That ritual to me is like, I think it's just something cool that's automatic in your day that feels like you're doing something good for yourself. You know, it's like the ritual part. I think so many people have it as coffee. I know running is becoming a huge thing. I know so many people and many creatives who have found running to be a really great solo ritual for themselves. But let's be more specific too. A creative ritual. I've talked to a buddy of mine. His name's Mike. He works with Tavern, and he had this whole idea of we don't practice as graphic designers. We don't practice as creatives. If you think of athletes and things like that who practice their sport before tournaments or anything like that, why don't we do the same thing when it comes to practicing our work? So do a little sketch on an iPad, do a sketch in your notepad, design a quick 10-minute logo, set a timer on your phone, give yourself 10 minutes to do a fictional logo for something, build a creative brief on any AI platform and say, give me a creative brief for blank. Have some fun with it. Those little rituals you could do that are not build, not client driven, they're 100% briefless, meaning like it's just you doing it, will free up your creativity beyond your belief. So give that a shot. All right, we're seeing some stuff here. Adobe Live, best support group, totally agree. Robert, reading. Yes, that's a great thing to get your eyes off of a screen and onto something like that. I totally agree. Build something. Yes. A tool shed, a worksheet, anything, event. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're doing anything you could build, like a worksheet or a calendar. Totally agree. Yes, I love that. Building, I think, is a great thing to do as well. Finding something like physical to do. I was given a Lego set last year, and that got me hooked. I think Lego, finding even the smallest little kit, is the funnest thing to do for sure. So that's our first question. Next one, when do you feel most energized? Do you guys have a time period in the day that feels predictable? Like, is there a time period where you are the most energized? I'm gonna say mine, 9 a.m. I'm gonna write that down because I wanna remember that. I think that's right. 9 a.m. is my golden hour, like I said, because I think I'm getting ready to hit that 10 to 2 zone, like I mentioned earlier. And I feel like I have all the information in the world. Let's see, what do we got here? That's there. Oh, thank you so much there. I see your comment there about my class. Awesome. Totally appreciate that. I do a lot of work on my phone. Ooh, that's yeah, doodling and personal projects. Love that as well. Late night, usually. Okay, so now we're talking about energized. Late night. Hey, we're all wired differently. I guess don't let anybody tell you to change your energized time because it's like yours is yours, right? I know at that zone for me, I'm like so productive. I love it. 10 to 12 p.m. Perfect. Oh, I'm assuming 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. for you, Aaron, there, and then 6 to 8. 6 to 8 is another golden time. That's like if you're juggling a full-time job and you do freelance. I know a lot of you guys are gangbusters on that. Awesome, more power to you. Yeah, that 6 to 8 time for sure. I like to turn it off by about 6 if I don't need to. If I need to continue more, for sure. Early morning person, yes, I'm the same way as well. I do need my time to wake up. I do need that coffee. I do need a good workout, and then my mind's going crazy. I love having 2 or 3 things checked off on my list already before it's time to go and work. What's the hardest part of working alone? Anybody? What do you guys have? Give us that. And then if you could hire one imaginary assistant, what would they do for you? I think that's a good one because that'll tell you what maybe you are missing. I would say for an imaginary assistant, I would love an admin. I think that's my next closest thing of finding either an admin or someone that could do email, invoicing, scheduling, calendar, things like that. That tells you right off the bat, I don't like to do that stuff. But it is, I use it as my break sometimes, and I think it's good to have that as well. A personal chef, Cody, 100%. That's the question of like, if you can have a driver, a cleaning person, or a chef, I would pick a chef in a heartbeat. That would be the best. Although I love to cook, but it would be so great to have all that stuff waiting for you. Making the phone calls. Yeah, a masseuse. Carol, I totally agree. Yes, that is the best. All right, so keep these, make a screenshot of this. These are great questions to ask later down the road if we didn't get around to yours or whatever, or I know I'm going fast because I think we've got just a few minutes left and I got so much more here. I promise you, if we don't go through all of these, I will try to find a way to bring this into a part 2, into a future office hours. Okay. Homework. This is stuff for you guys to do. This is the stuff. 7 things. There's about 10 things here, I think. But basically 7. Oh, I can read my own stuff here. It's 7-day challenge. So there's 7 things we're going to talk about here. Number 1, define your 2 golden hours. Where are those zones? You might have one early. You might have one late. It might be just one big block, whatever it is. Define that. What is your golden hour? So write that down. Again, you could screenshot this as well because I want you guys to really kind of hone in on this, and feel free to drop that in on our Discord, any answers or any kind of, you want like commitment on this, you want to kind of like put it out there and say, I'm telling you guys, this is what I'm going to do. Number 2, take a guilt-free 1-hour break. Do that on day 2, right? Tomorrow, whenever it is, take that one. Remember we talked about it's okay to take that break and like, don't feel any guilt around it. If you know that going into it, I think you're going to have a much more productive hour break. Day 3, do one thing that's just for you, not a client. Make it creative. I think that's a cool add-on to that. Make sure you're doing, like we said, give yourself that little 30-minute, 60-minute challenge, come up with a fun little brief. Or if you haven't been drawing or sketching as much as like I haven't, I got to get back into it. Or if you haven't painted, or if you haven't drawn typography or whatever it might be, do that on day 3. All right. Do one thing that's just for you and not for a client. Day 4, reach out to a creative friend or mentor. You all can do that. You got plenty of people you can talk to. I'm sure you know someone. I think one thing I would tell you to do to add to this is make sure it's a creative and maybe a different industry that you're in. I think it's always good to do that. I know tonight at our creative meetup, we're going to be gathering people together in different industries to make sure that you're not just talking to another graphic designer. You may be talking to a songwriter or a animator or whatever it might be. Okay. Day 5, write down 3 things you're proud of. When was the last time you did that? I mean, honestly, I listen to a lot of great kind of like self-help and really amazing, inspiring podcasts that talk about this a lot. And this is something you could do either first thing in the morning or right before you go to bed, and write down 3 things you're proud of. And it could be anything. It could be in the field, it could be out of the field, it could be something you did personally, something you did for someone, something that someone did for you, whatever it might be. Day 6, make one system or shortcut. Remember we talked about that? On day 6, you're making a template, you're making a new invoice, you're making a shortcut that will help give yourself back some time and make sure it's something that will help spark something new because you've saved a little time, or you just feel like you've checked off a few more things on your list. And lastly, day 7, you want to make sure you are hitting a reset or rest. That's the best thing you could do for sure. Here's some thoughts I want to leave you guys with. You're solo, you're not isolated. Always remember that. You're just solo how you work. That doesn't mean you have to be isolated all the other time. There's a difference between being alone and being disconnected. So that's what I've done. I've made sure I'm connected in many, many ways that I can keep those things ready at bay anytime I need that if I'm feeling too isolated. Just because you don't have a physical team doesn't mean you can't have a virtual like bench of people that will help support you and inspire you. Because again, you can see it all here. And I see the way our community supports itself. So when someone drops in some of their work on Discord or whatever, and everybody chimes on that, it's so great to see that as well. Love that. So how do you do that? Here's some stuff. Build your creative circle intentionally. And these are really unique. And I think we might have these already, but think of it this way. If you surround yourself with people, one peer should be someone who you can vent to, and vice versa, right? They should be able to vent back to you. One mentor to learn from, someone that has wise wisdom that you always love to hear as well. And one creative that is a cheerleader who reminds you why you're good. And don't forget, be this for other people as well. One peer to vent to, one peer to learn from, and one who is your cheerleader. I have found sometimes it's the same person, right? I love to be all 3 of these things to people as well. All right, the last ones I'm going to leave you with here, guys. Collaborate without hiring. Collaboration doesn't always mean starting a team. There are ways to do this. Try guesting on someone's podcast. Do a 1-day creative sprint with a friend, right? Swap feedback sessions monthly with someone that you trust and you work with. Hosting a mini co-working thing on Zoom or any kind of virtual system. These are such great ways for you guys to really kind of make sure that you're connected, you're not just working alone, and you're starting a team, even if it's virtually. But again, I've been doing virtually for years, and now I'm turning into something actually real, just starting tonight. So I'm so excited that it's happening, because I think for me, as much as I love doing this, and being a solo worker, you do yearn for those times to have a team. And again, it doesn't have to be you hiring someone. It could have you just being closer and more tight-knit with the creatives in your life. So I think we got through everything, guys. We are just about ready to kind of end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. You guys can follow me at Longo Designs on Instagram. Shoot me a DM if it was anything here that I went over too fast or whatever, or if you have other good advice to share as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We will be back next week as well, 10 a.m. Pacific time, every Tuesday right here on Adobe Live with office hours. And I believe our buddy Andrew is back for next week as well. Thanks for sitting with me on this solo survival episode. Hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and stay tuned for all the other great stuff on Adobe Live. We'll see you guys soon.